Welcome back to Homa Studio. This is Homa, and this is the Figma series on using Figma like you would in Illustrator. In this video, we're going to be exporting a transparent ping. Now, we just did it with a 3-color logo. In this one, we're going to do it with a transparent single-color logo, one like this. And I just want to go over doing that because we're going to have to use subtract so that that H part is transparent as well and the rest of it is white. So we're going to do a separate one here. So going back to Figma, I have this logo on a separate frame. There's no studio down here. Let me zoom into this a little bit. And it has a white background, and let's just see what's here. There is a white H, there's a white vector H, and notice it's not type. I did have to turn it into vector and curve it so it follows the contour of the circle. So it is completely vector so that when it is transparent, there's nothing outside of here. You don't want to see a white rectangle here of the H. So I did have to modify that, and here's the blue circle. But right now, if I just said, oh, I want this transparent, I want to make this thing white and this thing nothing, like it is here on this logo, I wouldn't be able to just do that, because if I make this H transparent, here it is, and here's my vector H. This is called frame 2. And by the way, I should probably rename this frame and just call it white logo would be good. Then when I export it, it'll use that name. So I'll call my frame white logo. Now, if I just made this H transparent, and again, I'm on the H, the vector H, and if I just went down, and made it transparent, you can see, you're just going to see the blue circle, or even if it's a white circle, even if I make it white. So I need to change that, and I need to do a subtract. So what I'll have to do is subtract this H from that circle. Now that's why I'm making a copy of this, because I don't want to do that for my original in case I need to go back and actually make it white. But for this logo, that's why it's on the white logo frame, I'm going to do a subtract. So make sure that your H is over on top of your circle, and you can hold shift and click on your circle as well, or I'll do it for mine. Now they moved around some of these operations in Figma. It used to be at the top where you could do a subtract. Now if you select two objects, you have to go over here, and there's that little icon, and I'm just going to do subtract selection, and what it should do is knock out the white from the back circle. And I can't see if it did or not unless I go over here to the subtract layer. Now what I'm going to do is on the subtract layer is just flatten it. Now you can, I think, right click and just do flatten, or I think you could do it over here too. I think you could go to these 3 dots, flatten selection, there it is. Okay, flatten selection is right here, so I'm just going to flatten that, and it still calls it subtract, but what I'll do is I'll just call it circle, because that's kind of what it is. Then I'll just put trans H, and whatever helps you there. So how do I know that? Well, let's just take my frame, and I could go on the frame here, white logo, and I'll just make it transparent. I'll just hover down and I'll see what's happening here. And that's what it looks like. Now I want that blue to be white. So all I have to do is make that blue white and I should be good. Now in the last video I mentioned how to change your page color so that it's not black, so that you can kind of see what's going on if you have any black type. So I want to make this shape, this circle trans, white. So I'm going to just go here and change it to white. They both look the same. So I'm going to make that white. Now I can't see what's going on now because everything's white, but I can see it's there. And I'm just going to go on my frame and I'm going to turn it down. And that's what I want. Remember, that's what I want to put on my website. I want this cool looking kind of H there that can go over top of a photograph. So this is what I want. My frame's transparent. And what I'll do now is make sure I'm on my frame, white logo, go down here to export. I'll hit the plus sign. And there it is. Now it's hard to see, but I could see that there's my white logo there. I'll do it at 100%. If I wanted it smaller, I can make it smaller and do 0.5 or 0.75 to make it a little bit smaller. But right now, what I'll do is I'll export this white logo, and I'll just hit this button, and there it goes. And I'll go into my Finder on a Mac and go to Downloads, and there it is. And I'll double click on it, which on a Mac will open up in Preview, and I could see that it's my white logo. And now it's a transparent ping that I could put into my website. So I just had to do a little bit of subtraction there. Let's go back to Figma. Just had to do a little subtraction to subtract out this white vector. And I did make it permanent by flattening it. So if you don't want to do that, you don't have to flatten it. I just did that just so you could see that there's only one element in my frame here. So it's white like that. So if I needed something that was going over something white and I needed it blue, I could go back and make it blue here and have it go over top of something white. Like I said, this is a kind of a blue background, so I didn't want this blue, but if I did have a white background, I could just have that as well. Or if I had a picture that had a lot of whiteness in it, I could do that. But anyway, that's what we want, and that's how that works. So just wanted to go over making a transparent ping from Figma, exporting it, and also doing some subtraction there so we can have our one color logo completely transparent. So thanks for watching Homa Studio.